All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in again to another video. Honestly, I have to be honest with you guys. I haven't.
Being honest.
There was a little period I wasn't really looking at the comments that much, just because I was afraid
Me
to
too.
look at you guys. See the shame. No, I'm just kidding. I just we've been kind of busy with stuff lately, and if you do feel bad, I need to get around to responding to the comments and stuff. So I will go around and do that. I love you all. Okay, don't take it
Wow, so
personal.
you hate everybody and
All right.
you don't care about what they have to say about anything.
This is episode
So rude.
360. All right, so today we're gonna do a video called "Why Jobs Are Disappearing in the U.S." Which it feels like it's been like this way for a while.
All these immigrants are coming here and they're taking our job.
All right, let's see.
It's getting harder to find work in the United States. In August, businesses added just 22,000 new jobs.
That's actually quite a weak number. Looking at that in isolation, that would actually be a lot more consistent with the start of a recession, historically.
Gone are the days of 200,000 jobs every month. We're likely to be in an environment where job growth is hovering around zero, essentially.
Damn.
The U.S. labor market is worse than previously thought. Less than half of the people polled by the New York Fed say they could find a new job if they lost their current one.
Downside.
I also think that's why there was this thing I was seeing that where people are like clinging to their jobs right now too, like for any last breath, like holding on to it and they're afraid of losing it because of the situation. I will say though, whenever we go anywhere, I see a lot more people doing like delivery jobs and other stuff that you wouldn't expect to see doing it.
He's judging.
No, honestly though, I'm being serious. Like, and it's just in general, so many more people I see are doing it.
We do live in LA where no one has a real job anyway. So
Yeah, there is that too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Risks to employment are rising. And if those risks materialize, they can do so quickly in the form of sharply higher layoffs and rising unemployment.
The Federal Reserve can give businesses more confidence to hire workers by adjusting the federal funds rate. The Fed is lowering this key interest rate as companies navigate changes on trade, immigration, and inflation.
Companies are holding back because they're both trying to see what the tariffs will be, what the effect of the tariffs will be.
Yeah.
And inside of that is what happens to their profit margins.
They're willing to deal with the uncertainty, but they need to react to that. And so part of that is just being very prudent in how they're hiring.
Why are jobs disappearing? And can the Fed do anything to bring them back?
can they
The
do
slowdown in
anything
hiring is
at all? Because, they can't agree on simple, basic as human rights.
most potent for younger workers.
We're seeing a lot of pressure on the younger generation when it comes to this labor market. We're seeing many firms facing higher imported costs, and they are, in many cases, struggling with the cost of talent in a high interest rate environment. The tech space, the finance space, the professional and business services space are sectors that are under more pressure, and they are the ones that generally are big hirers of younger cohorts.
Recent college graduates typically have better job prospects than the overall labor force. Historically, they have lower unemployment levels too. That trend reversed starting in 2022.
The United States has been suffering from a series of rolling recessions. Pockets of industries or industries themselves that have gone through their own downturns, whether it was manufacturing or consumer goods, it just hasn't.
Well, I think there's a really big layoff right now with like the tech space with like coding, because everyone was like, I remember what was it? There was this huge thing that was like, well, just learn to code, like
Or like data analysis, those type of things.
But now AI is doing those things much more efficiently and faster and less of a cost than hiring people to do it.
And AI doesn't talk back or ask for days off. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. We're in a weird space with AI too, and I think that's causing a lot more layoffs than that people are talking about as well.
I think people are talking about it though.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe just not mainstream media.
I think people assume that it would be AI taking like lazy people jobs more than people who have degrees and stuff. So maybe that's why. Like people assumed AI was going to be like flipping your burgers or something.
100%. That is true. Yeah.
Which is so funny.
But it's doing the opposite. It's doing the tougher jobs a lot faster, like the coding and the other, like not scientific,
honestly,
but the specific jobs like that, like technological jobs.
And unfortunately, even in like art fields,
yeah,
it's crazy how
graphic design and stuff. Yeah.
Hold up to the broader economy. I would put the youth employment situation squarely in that category right now.
The high-paying information sector is flashing warning signs too. Software developer roles for workers in their 20s are down sharply since 2022. Young marketing and sales managers are having trouble getting hired as well. That said, younger workers are finding jobs in the health and retail sectors at a relatively fast pace.
That makes sense.
We know that companies are turning to technology and AI to figure out if they can maybe stomach some of those costs or bring some of those costs down without having to hire somebody, at least
Coding,
initially.
AI is very new. The capabilities of it are not very well known. Well, to the extent that it can replace jobs, the first jobs it should be replacing are those new entry-level, simpler jobs.
A small collection
Why? Why should it? Maybe he means in any field.
Yeah.
I thought he meant like certain jobs that like kids out of high school get and stuff like that. Because, how about it doesn't replace any job?
Yeah.
How about we just utilize it as a tool instead of replacing people?
Yeah.
industries are still adding workers.
You're still seeing resilience in the healthcare space and in the leisure and hospitality space. Those two sectors are upholding the labor market, but there is increased evidence that over the next 6 months, there might be more weakness out of these two sectors as well.
Hell no. I do not want a robot giving me surgery.
Private sector is adding jobs, and manufacturing would be one of the key industries. But we're also seeing increased softness in construction activity, a telltale sign that housing activity is experiencing a slowdown. We're seeing businesses being more cautious with who they hire, how much they hire, and also in some cases proceeding with strategic layoffs.
The Fed's interest rate policies also contribute to today's labor market slowdown. These interest rates influence Americans' job prospects and the pace of price increases. Lowering them can mean more jobs and more inflation. Raising them may mean less inflation and slower economic growth. The Fed took interest rates into restrictive territory in the first quarter of 2023. Since then, they've held the target for the federal funds rate high, relative to the so-called neutral interest rate of around 3%. In other words, the Fed's past decisions are restricting today's economic growth.
Nonetheless, with policy in restrictive territory, the baseline outlook and the shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance.
Historically, it's the case that as the Fed tightens and starts to contain inflationary pressures, that eventually puts downward pressure on the labor market. It was the case that June actually saw negative payrolls, which is the first time that's happened since December of 2020.
I think the Fed is cutting from a place where it believes it has room to be wrong. Fed policy is best designed to address cyclical issues. If it's cyclical, the Fed over time should be able to nudge us back onto the path, but it can't change the path.
Businesses that see lower interest rates could be motivated to hire more workers.
A lot of it boils down to confidence. If I'm going to be facing relatively less restrictive interest rate policy, I can plan for that in the future and say, well, my burden here on the debt side is going to go down a little bit, but my business is still relatively strong. I can take that extra risk and make that investment in an individual or in some kind of technology.
Lower interest rates have many other effects too. For example, saving rates on bank deposits may fall. Financing costs for a mortgage or car loans could move lower as well, but only if Treasury bond yields follow the Fed.
Long-term rates are incorporating a wider array of factors, which include a large budget deficit, which include trade policy uncertainty and tariffs, which include higher inflation. And as a result, they're not moving as low as the Fed funds rate is likely to move over the course of the next year.
It's a highly political situation. It's totally rigged. Smart people know it.
The slow pace of hiring is political trouble for the president. Experts say his policies could be contributing.
Manufacturing or construction or trade and transportation, those industries have been under the most pressure with hiring. Facts of like that definitely point to the policy environment, having a pretty serious and direct impact on labor. So it's not as much a monetary policy issue, but you could also argue that some monetary policy easing and accommodation could help at the margin for sure.
Then there's immigration.
Reduced immigration is curbing labor supply.
Well, that is a part that is a little, messed up, because there is a part of it with immigration that companies will take advantage of being able to pay a worker so low, if they're undocumented. That is a big issue as well that I think needs to be addressed.
I agree, but I don't think the same people who pretend they're worried about that actually give two shits.
I know, it's just a thing that they can say.
Because if you did, you would speak about hiring wages and not deporting immigrants.
Yeah, exactly. Or just finding a way to make it work together. With how much money that was put towards ICE this past bill or whatever they did, that could have been used to actually just completely fix our immigration system.
They don't want to.
Yeah, that just goes to show that's not what they want.
And reducing
Also, under this administration, there are people getting deported who are naturalized citizens who did it the right way and are still getting deported. Yeah. So it doesn't, I don't know. To me, it doesn't matter if somebody goes through that extra effort or not, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, and I mean severely illegal, okay?
Yeah.
Like actual
not like
crimes.
Shoplifting or something.
Go shoplift. I don't care. You probably need it in this economy.
Yeah. Just don't murder someone.
Exactly.
Yep.
Don't murder somebody, please. That's that. And I, as if we don't have enough.
Yeah. The
American citizens.
I was gonna say if you look up on Google the stats of the what highest percentage of certain types of people
white
in the
men.
USA.
It's always white men.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna
to
say
do
that.
anything.
Yeah. All right.
Detrimental white man.
So-called break-even rate, the rate at which the unemployment rate starts to increase.
You could think that over time, domestic unemployed or native-born unemployed people could take the jobs of immigrants.
No.
Some of these jobs that are taken by immigrants
are
jobs
in this country?
that historically employers have found are not ones that are taken by native-born people.
As the labor market deteriorates, prices are still increasing at a faster pace than the Fed's target rate. That makes an interest rate cut somewhat risky. Despite this,
my God.
President Trump is pressuring the Fed to prop up the economy with lower interest.
And that specific one, I forget what Powell was pretty much saying, like, no, you're wrong. That's not blah, blah, blah. And Trump was like he was getting annoyed with him. And it was just.
I gotta go find that clip again because that was a moment, that's for sure.
Rates.
And I really worry about the financial integrity of the Fed, much more than the financial integrity of the BLS. If we lose the institutional integrity of the Fed, we're going to step back in a major way in terms of good economic outcomes.
And let's not forget, we're coming off of an environment where inflation has been very high post-pandemic, and many people are still struggling to make...
Well, there's also corporations who are price gouging, taking advantage of us just being like used to paying more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is illegal, but here we are. How can you prove it?
Ends meet.
We also have to look at this in the context of an economy that is more supply shock driven. And when you have a more supply shock driven environment, you are just definitionally, the Federal Reserve or any central bank just has less power in being able to combat inflation and also being able to help the labor market.
If the Fed is wrong here and it's cutting interest rates into an inflationary environment, then the impact could be negative for many people in the sense that you would have higher inflation, and that would really hurt a lot of people. The U.S. job market is very dynamic. The trouble right now is that tax policy, immigration policy, tariff policy are all in flux, and so it makes it very difficult for businesses to adjust. Once things settle down, if the government backs out and gets out of the way of the free market, U.S. companies should create the jobs for those who need them.
If they're able to, they might adjust in another direction, or adapt into another direction.
Yeah. Rate cuts won't increase job growth. Companies will use the rate cuts to offset the cost of tariffs and higher wages due to inflation, but they won't hire workers. Yeah, I know. We are in a recession. Have been for a while now. They just don't want to say it.
Yeah, they usually don't tell us until it's done with.
Yeah. Man, I'm so tired of winning. All right. Let us know your opinions and how you guys feel your job market is too, wherever you guys are from. Let us know. Like comparison. But yeah, please
some insight.
Like, comment, subscribe, guys, and make sure to jump over to our vlog channel. All right, see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.